In the vast expanse of the Star Wars galaxy, legends often speak of power, conquest, and ambition. But what if the greatest threat wasn't about gaining control, but about achieving ultimate silence? He simply appeared, a figure cloaked in white, skin like ash, his face an echo of a forgotten one. He bore no armor, no crown, no sigil of any lineage. He was a phantom made real. When he spoke, the very air seemed to recoil. Reality itself struggled to remember him. He called himself the Dark Underlord, a name whispered in terror, a nightmare to the Jedi. He did not speak of conquest, nor of passion, nor even of galactic domination. He spoke of something far more pure, far more absolute. He spoke only of rot. The galaxy has forgotten the Force, he claimed. It drowns in motion, in the screams of life, the endless noise of wanting. But when all returns to dust, when all falls silent, the Force will sing again. The fractured warlords of the Sith listened. They had known anger, ambition, and fleeting glory. But this man, this hollow thing, spoke with the calm certainty of something that had already died. He told them the Force was not a current that bound all life. It was a grave. Life itself, he preached, was the corruption that kept the Force from its eternal rest. The Sith were long divided since Darth Ruin's death, shattered into countless rival orders. Yet, the Dark Underlord offered something Ruin never did. Not a dream of victory, but finality. He never called himself Darth. To the Sith, this was a rare blasphemy, a sacred title, a covenant linking each Dark Lord to an ancient chain of power back to the first exiles. But the Underlord rejected it. When asked why, he calmly stated, "I am not above, I am beneath. I am the shadow under their thrones, the silence beneath their songs, the Dark Underlord." To his followers, this title was a proclamation of dominance, rising higher than any Jedi. To him, Darth meant arrogance. He didn't want to climb. He wanted to descend, to return to the deepest foundation of the Force, where light and dark dissolved into quiet. He claimed every Darth was chained to desire. Desire to rule, to be remembered, to reshape. He wanted none of it. He had seen where such ambition led, to ruin, to noise, to chaos. So he chose a title not of conquest, but of burial. Underlord, ruler from beneath. One who listens rather than shouts, who guides decay itself. The will of the grave, those who flocked to him called themselves the Black Knights. They painted their armor ash black, carving spirals into their breastplates, symbols of collapse, of all things turning inward. Their creed was simple. Peace does not come from victory. Peace comes from ending everything. They fought with eerie precision, silent even in battle. Their movements methodical and cold. Through their campaigns, the Sith began to win again. The Underlord's army swept the frontier, cutting down Republic forces, seizing Zeo, reclaiming Yavin 4, taking world after world. The Republic reeled in terror. For the first time, the Sith were unified, not by passion, but silence. They rallied behind something older, something that knew truths the galaxy itself forgot. The Dark Underlord was clearly not human, not mortal. The Jedi called him a wound in the Force. No emotion emanated from him. No hatred, no ambition, only ever stillness, a calm. He told followers that through the dark side, they could bring stillness to the galaxy. If all things ended, if every voice fell silent, they would commune with the Force as meant to be. Decades before his rise, a young acolyte lived in the chaos following Ruin's fall. Idealistic, naive, he sought forgotten lore. He wanted to unite the Sith, end their endless wars. He turned to ancient records, whispers of a Jedi heretic from 24,000 years earlier, Zendor. On the desolate world of Malrev IV, he performed a forbidden ritual to call Zendor's spirit. The ritual was not meant to work. The Force itself should have rejected such an act. But something looked back. Something ancient, something wrong, crawled through the open veil. When it was over, the acolyte was gone, his flesh pale, translucent, eyes burned like dying stars. The voice that emerged was no longer his. "I am beneath all things," it said. The dark that remembers, the silence that endures. He walked out, disappearing for years. When he returned, he was no longer a man. He was the Dark Underlord. Centuries later, Jedi and Sith historians would debate what exactly happened that day. They argued what stepped out was not a spirit, but something twisted by the nature of chaos. Exactly happened that day. Chaos was a realm beyond life, where even the Force itself cannot reach. The truth, pieced together from fragments, is darker. 24,000 years earlier, the first great schism. Zendor was not born evil. A philosopher, a seeker of truth, he saw light and dark as one. He loved Ardon Lyn, a warrior mystic. Together, they sought to understand the Force. But the Jedi, wary, branded him a heretic. Zendor in turn fought back. The war nearly tore the Order in half. Grandmaster Adrista Pina murdered Zendor, but not before committing a sin erased from history, the Rite of Severance, a ritual to cast a soul into chaos, reserved for evil beings, but Zendor was still tethered to light. He was not evil, merely misunderstood. The Grandmaster tore a hole in the natural order. At first, he sought to meditate, to feel the Force as he once had, but there was only silence. As millennia passed, the silence began to speak. It whispered, "Life is corruption. The noise of existence," it said, made the Force distant. Only in stillness could it be heard. And so, the philosopher became a shadow, consumed by the promises of eternal quiet. When the Sith ritual on Malrev IV reached out across eternity, it didn't summon Zendor the Seeker. It summoned what was left of him, a spirit that had rotted in silence for 20 millennia. The Dark Underlord remembered little of who he once was. He hungered for communion, to speak to the Force again. As he had before, the noise of existence had drowned it out. His body was barely corporeal, flickering between life and death. Skeletal, wreathed in a colorless aura. He carried no weapon until he needed one. His lightsaber, a beam that refused to die. Its hue, the color of a wound. His voice, an almost sacred calm, even speaking of extinction. Life is the storm that hides the Force. I seek the calm that will come after. The Black Knights believed they helped him restore order, return the galaxy to a purer state. In truth, the Underlord sought something simpler. To silence every living thing. To hear the Force. Under his command, the Sith Empire expanded faster than generations. The Black Knights, terrifyingly efficient. They weren't marauders, they became executioners. Conquering through silence, precision, inevitability. Worlds fell, Republic fleets vanished. The Underlord's citadel on Malrev IV, a black beacon. A palace said to hum with trapped souls. To followers, sacred. To Jedi, a wound. He sought no thrones or riches. He left conquered worlds, abandoned their cities lifeless, populations gone. Wherever he walked, the Force grew cold. The Jedi feared he'd learned a terrible truth, a truth defying both light and dark. They chose to destroy him quietly before he finished. The strike came in 1750 BBY, led by Master Murdo, a strategist, scholar, and desperate man. Murdo knew the Underlord unified the Sith, even killing rival colonies. The Republic would fall. The Jedi could not risk open war. So, Murdo made a deal, one the Order would never admit. He hired Mandalorians. With Council approval, they launched an assassination on Malrev IV. It was not a glorious duel of armies, but a shadow war. Explosives, blaster bolts, Beskar. When the Jedi Master finally reached the throne room, he found the Underlord waiting. He didn't raise his saber. He looked at Murdo with something almost like relief. Their duel was brief, apocalyptic. Energy tore the walls apart, a soundless scream. When the Jedi struck the killing blow, the Underlord's body crumbled to ash. Murdo fell to his knees. Whispering the Force seemed quiet for a time. The Jedi returned as a hero, but within weeks, he renounced the code and disappeared. Some say he no longer heard the Force. Others whispered the Underlord's silence followed him. In time, the whispers proved true. Murdo never returned whole. Jedi search parties found his ship. Reports filtered in. A lone figure haunting the ruins of Malrev IV. Murdo, robes blackened. His robes torn and burned by shadow fire. He never spoke, only knelt, whispering to nothing. Some claimed Murdo became a new Black Knight, a broken prophet echoing the man he slew. Others said he sought the voice he silenced, never realizing it now lived only inside him. The Underlord's death marked a celebrated victory, but the wound he left in the Force never healed. The Black Knights survived, scattering into shadows, continuing his philosophy, waiting. Some accounts claim centuries later, Master Yoda encountered remnants, whispering the Underlord's name. Among the Sith, his legend endured. Darth Bane spoke of the Underlord's rise as a final failure. He came from beneath. Return to them. The Sith will not rot. We must rebuild. To Bane, the Underlord was a great lesson. Power without structure, philosophy without purpose, destruction. The Underlord united the Sith, but for a reason none understood. He didn't wish to rule. He wanted to erase it. What made him terrifying was not his armies, but his certainty. He never raged like ruin, nor hungered like Sidious. He spoke of patience, of eternity. The Force, he said, was the ocean that waited when life was gone. He wanted to drown in it. I do not hate the Jedi. I do not hate the Sith. I hate the noise between them. Every thought, every breath, every motion was interference, the static of a forgotten galaxy. He longed to strip it all away, bring the universe to stillness, to commune with the pure Force. He wasn't a conqueror. He was a pilgrim who lost his way, leading the galaxy to its grave. Born from a heretic's punishment, shaped by eternity into silence, brought back by Sith arrogance. At his end, the Underlord was simple, a man who wanted to hear the Force, but twisted. His spirit was never meant for chaos. It was there his spirit broke. So, what exactly was the Dark Underlord? A man who cheated death? A fragment of Xehanor's soul dragged, screaming out of chaos? Or something worse? A wound in the Force that perhaps learned how to speak? To us, he's fascinating. The Underlord is a reminder darkest stories aren't always about power at all. They're about losing one's place in the Force, then carving one out of oblivion. My friends and lore junkies, what do you think? Xehanor, reborn, or a different kind of monster? Tell us, which forgotten Sith Lord should we cover next in our lore dives? This is another old Sith tale, built on a skeleton of truth, reshaped for legend. And somewhere, in the cracks between myth and memory, you will always find the darkness waiting. As always, may the Force be with you. Until next time, stay curious.